Good morning. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith here at the National Weather Service in Pocatello with your weather hazard briefing for Tuesday, April 11th, last day of warmth. For those of you who have been enjoying the temperatures we've been seeing out there the past few days, but just for now, there are some signs that we will return to a bit warmer weather here coming up in just a few days in the forecast. Key points here as we go through the rest of the week. Again, last day of warmth today. Departing high pressure will support one more day of those warm temperatures, well above normal for this time of year, while at the same time an approaching low pressure storm system will bring increasing winds across most of southeast Idaho today, and eventually some precipitation, but seeing some trends that precipitation may hold off for a while. So second key point here, rain and snow trending a bit later. Today, in particular, and even much of Wednesday, should actually remain dry for most of our forecast area. Steadiest rain and snow is now expected Wednesday night and Thursday. So a little bit of good news there, holding that off. There will be a few showers around for a few spots. I'll show you that here in just a moment, but definitely seeing that trend in our guidance. Weather risk outlook here for the next 5 days. Again, one more day of that continued melting and runoff of the snowpack. We'll still have to be on alert for some localized flooding, but we're going to stabilize that snowpack as we go through Wednesday into Thursday into Friday, and we see cooling temperatures. Again, breezy conditions today, and we have a few areas still lit up here with more of a moderate risk for a bit stronger winds. That'll include the Lost River area, portions of the Sawtooth area, particularly east of Stanley, and up into Lemhi County, where we'll see the strongest winds today. Wind advisory in effect from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And we've added question marks here to our few rain showers, few snow showers from the Northeast Highlands up across portions of the northern Central Mountains, because again, we're just trending drier in our high-res model guidance here. Can't rule out a shower or two up near Stanley, up into portions of Lemhi County, maybe up into Fremont County in the Northeast, Teton Valley, Big Holes. Just a shower or two, nothing significant expected today, and dry conditions still holding on for the rest of southeast Idaho. Wednesday, we will trend into more rain and snow shower activity, particularly as we go into the afternoon and evening. So do be on alert for some of that. But again, the heaviest, or I should say just the steadiest precipitation expected to hold off until Wednesday night. Continue to see some breezy conditions here as well in the eastern Magic Valley and South Hills. So we go into Thursday and Friday. Low pressure hanging on for several days with us here. Much cooler temperatures across the region. Winds have trended up in the forecast for Thursday, particularly where we have you highlighted in orange here in the eastern Magic Valley, where we may actually be approaching advisory level winds there, particularly some problems for high-profile vehicles and driving there. And rain and snow showers, mostly snow showers here as those temperatures cool expected. Again, continuing into Friday as well, but Saturday, high pressure, some ridging starting to build back into the region, and temperatures will start to warm once again with some 50s returning to the forecast there to kick off the weekend. Satellite loop this morning, nice and quiet, mostly clear skies here down across southeast Idaho. You can certainly see approaching cloud cover here to our west as that large trough of low pressure that's going to be with us here for several days starts to move toward the region, not causing us too many issues just yet. Watches, warnings, and advisories, not terribly different from the concepts we've been discussing here day by day. Still a flood watch in effect for portions of northern Nevada. Again, flooding has not been widespread. Luckily, we're not expecting any widespread flooding here in southeast Idaho, so we do not have a watch out. But still keeping an eye out for some of those localized problems with some melting and runoff, particularly in places like south central Jefferson County and northern Bonneville County. Flood warning was in effect there. We have converted that over to a flood advisory since impacts have started to come down just a little bit up in that area. And then if you're heading north, brown shading here, wind advisory in effect for some of the terrain in the central and eastern portions of the Central Mountains, particularly places like Willow Creek Summit, Clayton, Chalice, Salmon. Expected to get in on the stronger winds today, and actually a high wind warning here in the, we'll say, orangish, brownish shading as you go north of Monida. up into southwest Montana, particularly if you're driving up here with a high-profile vehicle. Definitely be on alert for crosswinds and some problems. Winds may even be strong enough to bring down some tree limbs up in that area. Generally, just watching for some more kind of driving issues and unsecured items blowing around in our wind advisory area here into the central mountains. Low temperatures as you wake up this morning, largely above freezing for the majority of the forecast area. And as we've been discussing each day, that does tend to keep some melting and runoff going in the snowpack. It's one of those key things we look at for flood potential. But last day of warmth, not seeing any significant precipitation here over the next day or so. And we'll be backing off on those temperatures. So again, localized flooding, more of our main concern. Pocatello, you actually achieved your low temperature early during the earlier portions of the night here. We're starting to downslope with southerly winds, and looking at our monitor here off to the side, 62 degrees here at the Pocatello airport right now as of just before 5 a.m. With those southerly winds kicking in. It's a little bit warmer there locally coming off the terrain. High temperatures this afternoon, very similar to what we saw yesterday. Widespread 50s and 60s for all of southeast Idaho, with the exception of some 70s still possible today from the eastern Magic Valley into Burley, the Raft River region at the lower elevations here. Possibly as far east as Pocatello. Officially, we have you at 66, probably closer to 70 out toward the airport. But we did overperform just a little bit yesterday, several degrees warmer than forecast, and certainly that could occur today, particularly if we keep the cloud cover at a minimum here ahead of the approaching system. Here's an update on those winds and wind gusts. So sustained wind values over here on the left, winds generally out of the southwest across the region. You can see sustained values 15 to 20 miles an hour for most of you, but really lighting up the central mountain region here for 25 to 35 mile per hour sustained winds. Again, wind advisory in effect from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. today up across this area, and that'll include some strong winds here right along the Montana border, particularly if you're going over the passes. And then over here on the right, wind gusts, same direction, generally gusting 40 to 50 miles an hour up here across that advisory area, the central mountains, also some of that up along the Montana border. Gusts on the order of about 25 to 35 across most of the rest of southeast Idaho. So not expecting really damage with this, not really expecting trees down, power outages, things like that. That would be more of a warning regime. This is an advisory regime. This is really high-profile vehicles using caution in areas where there's strong crosswinds. And also just try to secure those loose outdoor items or bring them inside here before the winds start to ramp up this morning if you're able to. Here's that cooling trend. Temperatures, high temperatures here on the left for Wednesday. Over here on the right, high temperatures for Thursday. You can see we back off into the 40s and 50s for Wednesday, and highs even topping out only in the 30s to mid 40s here by the time we get into Thursday, with an increasing proclivity for that precipitation to fall in the form of snow as we cool off here under the low pressure system. This is our forecast for new snow, primarily falling Wednesday and Thursday. Do have a shot to see just a little bit here in the Snake Plain, generally an inch or less, maybe an inch or two up into the central mountains. Unless you're up at the peaks, you can see some locations here getting into that yellow shading, which is actually 6 inches of snow over about a 2-day period. Some of the heavier accumulations may be up here in Fremont County and then wrapping down into the eastern highlands. Pretty widespread, 1 to 3 inches currently expected in this region. And again, some of these peaks and higher spots here where you see the yellow or even orange shading is 6 inches or better over that time. Really hard to get good accumulations going at the lowest elevations, particularly during the day this time of year, just based on marginal temperatures and the sun angle, even if we do have some cloud cover in place. But just be aware there may be a few slick spots out there as we progress through the rest of the week. Take a quick update here, quick look at a few of the rivers we've been watching. And as we've been telling you the past couple mornings, with this first warm-up of the year, we're a little early for much in the way of river flooding. We're not seeing a super long duration to those warm temperatures. We're not seeing really heavy precipitation move into the region. All very good signs. So what we are seeing is just a minor, kind of modest bump in some of those river levels. generally not to flood stage, and that does lag behind the warmest temperatures because once we melt that snow, we have to give it some time to get into the larger rivers and progress downstream. This is the Portneuf River at our Topaz gauge as you head over toward Lava Hot Springs. The blue line is where the river has been. The dotted purple line is the forecast for where the river is going. And you can see a little bit of a crest here. Now forecast not to quite reach what we call action stage or bank full, but highest conditions there roughly on Wednesday into early Thursday for that. And remember, this is very cold water. This is melted snow coming out of the mountains. So do be aware of that. Be very careful with children who might be playing near any of our waterways here this time of year. Portneuf downstream into the Pocatello area. Nice rise forecast here over the next few days, peaking again. Latest forecast holds it just below bank full conditions. So good news there. That crest will come roughly on Thursday in the Pocatello area. And then we've been watching the Bear River, particularly down at the Idaho-Utah state line. And it's running a little behind the forecast here, but latest forecast does hold that just below, again, bank full level with that crest coming on Thursday. Again, lagging those high temperatures just a little bit. Elsewhere, just really modest responses, not expecting main stem river flooding just yet based on this first warm-up of the season. And finally, great news continues for drought conditions across the region. We've been in drought for years at this point, but with the winter we've had, with all of that snowpack, you can see that a large portion of our southeast Idaho forecast area is done. We have no drought currently indicated for you. Some yellow shaded areas here still abnormally dry, so running a little behind where we'd like to be, but technically that is still out of that drought classification. So excellent news with the winter that we've had chipping away at that long-term drought across southeast Idaho. That's it for your hazard briefing today. As always, we're here 24/7. If you have questions, comments, concerns, any support needs for us, everyone stay safe, enjoy your last day of warmth, and have a great Tuesday.